Homework 11 then. So question 1 is all about the cloud versus local storage basically. So you are looking to achieve 6 marks when you're talking about comparing data stored in hard disks on school servers versus storing in the cloud. So we really need a comparison on each of the points that you make. So if you say an advantage for a cloud, you should explain how that relates to storing local storage. So some of the things, or some of the points we should be making is that the cloud storage provider is responsible for all the hardware that's stored on. They need to perform maintenance on that hardware and the software to make it available. They are also responsible for the backup and recovery in case there's any accidental hardware failure or accidental deletion of files. For the client, the amount of storage available to them can be easily changed as and when they require it. It can be done quite quickly compared to doing it physically. If you were doing that in the school setup, we'd have to install more hard drives, we'd have to order them, we'd have to employ someone to install them, so it'd be a lot longer to do that, although it would obviously cost money in both scenarios. If data is stored off-site in a cloud, not within the college, it means it's protected from loss due to fire or theft of computers or failure within a network, meaning that business could carry on, assuming there was loss of it somewhere else. What else could be? If the company that owns the cloud goes bankrupt, or there's any catastrophic failures or any stolen servers, then that's going to leave us unable to access our data. If it's stored in the cloud and is accessible anywhere on the internet, then that makes us more susceptible to hacking. It doesn't mean that hacking's easier, it just means it's easier because there's more opportunity for people to do it because they can access it anywhere rather than being in the college and being part of the network. You're making assumptions about the people who store the data in the cloud, that they're going to store it safely and securely. And we've got legal issues surrounding different computer acts, that if the data is stored in different countries, legally it might have, legally might not be able to be stored in that country. And obviously to access the cloud, we're going to need high-speed, reliable internet. For a school-based cloud scenario, server rather, we would have to be responsible for our own backups, which means that people need to take more care over their files. We need to install it and maintain it ourselves. We need a technical team, so a lot more pricey. So if you want to do some more reading on that particular piece, they are on page 193 of the book. The back page, explain how encryption prevents sensitive data being read by unauthorized users for 3 points. So we're looking for mentions of key, why it can't be read, and what must be done in order to intercept it. Hexadecimal numbering system for question 3. So explain what hexadecimal is and why that's advantageous for programming. So think of how we can write things shorter there and making things easier to read. An assembler we covered when we talked about low-level languages. Remember, we did the activity on the Little Man computer, so you can talk about assembly language in that and talk about how it's a translator. Interpreter and compilers, let's see mentions of translating and executing one line at a time, but a compiler never stops. Tell us which is better for what, so which one should we use whilst we're working on a program and why, which one should we use when we finish a program and why. Tell us about error checking. And in the final graphic size calculations, we've got 100 true color images, and there are dimensions of 1000 pixels by 800 pixels. So think about how, or what the bit depth is rather, of true color images. Remember that there's 100 of them, and always show you're working for these questions, because a lot of the marks come from your working assuming that you would accidentally calculate the wrong final answer.